That's the big headline. For all the economic data we see day to day, focus on that one. 40% down. Family's net worth, 2007 to 2010. Neal Lipschutz, you wrote a very, I thought, simple but clear and important column today. 40%. Tell us what that means and what it means for people watching.
Yeah, I think you summed up very well. Think about the number, right? And you know, we're inundated with data all the time. People swing their whole views on one employment number a month, and here's only comes out every 3 years, and it's actually kind of old already, right? Because it only went through 2010. But if you think about that, the median family in the United States had their net worth fall 40%. You know, what does that do to their psychology about buying? What does it do to their actual living standards? What does that do to their generational view about their children doing better than they did? You know, really large macro forces, I think, reflected in that number. And I also think what it reflects is that, which we've talked about, but that there are no obviously easy solutions to what we're in, and that we're in some reasonably long slog of a historic period here.
Well, that's definitely the case. We want to believe, as we've lived through these moments, Neal, that the 2008 crisis was almost contained to 2008, and when the market hit bottom in March 2009, that's when it ended. But when the history's written, it's going to be written as a whole period, right? And it'll probably extend through the better part of this decade.
I think you're right, and I think, you know, it is hard to know when you're living through an historically important economic era. But I think we've got plenty of hints, and that number is one of those hints that we are. That you know, they still want, you know, the Fed to do something, the ECB to do something, somebody to do something. And obviously, you were just talking about in the last segment, in relative terms, you know, when you talk about 25% unemployment in Spain, you talk about some of these other facts, you know, we're doing okay in relative terms in the United States compared to Western Europe, certainly. But that number is a pretty telling number. Now, to be fair, a lot of it is the value of a home, and if you were in your home through the whole period, you know, you're not feeling it day to day, but lots of people were moving around during that period, and even if you didn't own a home, your net worth went down quite a bit.
And so many people were drawing equity out of their homes to pay for the lifestyle that they came to expect as Americans. So, particularly education.
That's right.
Number one source of education funding was home equity loans.
That's right.
Healthcare. And then, well, of course, probably some home remodeling that people probably didn't need too much.
And some vacations and all that kind of thing as well. But you're right, and if you hit on education for a while too, you know, and to the point about it being a long slog and years long, how many young people are coming out of very expensive educations now, and we're starting to focus on this as a society, and finding, if they can find employment that's sort of commensurate with that education, it's lower paying, there's downward pressure on wages, and their outlooks in their 20s is a lot tougher than 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago.
Certainly changed. The American dream, the parameters of the American dream have changed. Let's hope 3 years from now, Neal, that we'll have a different conversation and the results are good.